Hello, everyone. Welcome to Options with Doug, streaming on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Bookmap Discord and the Bookmap YouTube channel. Before I get started, I need to go through the disclosures. General disclosure. All Bookmap limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure. Trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Here's my contact information. The best way to get in touch with me is through Discord. My name on Discord is Doug P. Also in Bookmap Discord, there's an Options-Doug chat channel. That's a great place to post questions, comments, and content related to the topics of my presentation and the topics of the channel that I'll go through in just a moment. I'm also on X, formerly known as Twitter. My name there is @DougPless. Here are the key tenets to my approach for trading. This is the basis of my approach to trading. I believe that options trades and market maker hedging activity are key drivers of price in many stocks and futures, and certainly in the large cap tech stocks, the Mag 7 stocks, as well as the equity index futures like the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100. And for the S&P 500, SPX is the underlying index, SPY is the ETF version of that index, and ES is a derivative of SPX. When traders buy and sell puts and calls in SPX and SPY, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and they hedge their delta exposure with ES futures. And for the NASDAQ 100, NDX is the underlying index, QQQ is the much more liquid ETF version of that index, and NQ, the futures, that's a derivative of NDX. And again, when traders buy and sell puts and calls in NDX and QQQ, market makers take the opposite side of those trades. They hedge their delta exposure with NQ futures. The focus of my presentation today and the focus of the Options-Doug chat channel is options order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. I have a two-step process for trading, and the first is planning, and I use positional analysis. I look at how traders and market makers are positioned to the options market and how those positions change from day to day to develop a thesis regarding the expected trading range and volatility for the day, as well as the directional bias. And the second step in my process is execution. I look at real-time order flow in Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow in Spotgamma Hero to confirm my thesis and for setups for entries and exits. And when I talk about setups today, I will be focusing on an underlying asset. Setups in that asset can be taken any number of ways. For example, the S&P 500 setups can be taken with ES futures, SPY shares, SPY options, SPX options, or even ES options. Questions and comments are welcome, and I will be watching both the Options-Doug chat channel and Discord, as well as the chat and YouTube for your questions and comments. Please feel free to post. I'll do my best to answer your questions. Hello, Stephen. Welcome. Glad you're here. Hello, everyone else. Welcome. Glad you're here as well. Here's my agenda for today, Monday, May 6th. First of all, I want to go over news items for the upcoming week. It's a very light week. Then I'll go through my positional analysis. Then I'll review some setups from earlier today, and then I'll take a look at the live market. And when I get to the live market, if anyone has any stocks they want me to take a look at, please let me know, and I'll be glad to do that. All right, so let's start with news items, economic data, and events and earnings for the week. So last week was certainly a packed week with the FOMC. Let's see, I'm going back. With the FOMC, jobs data, and Apple, Amazon, AMD, and coin earnings. So a packed week last week. This week, the only data release is on Friday, the only higher impact data release at 10 a.m. That's Michigan consumer sentiment. That's on Friday. And then during the week, there are a wide variety of Fed speakers almost every day, and also several bond auctions to pay attention to. The 1 p.m. bond auctions are, again, something to pay attention to. All right, so a very light data week. Looking for volatility contraction and a slow grind up in the S&P 500 this week. All right, let's move on to positional analysis. I'm going to start with the S&P 500. This is the ES futures and Bookmap, and doing exactly that, grinding up. All right, before I take a closer look at this chart, I do want to take a look at a higher time frame. I'm going to go to the underlying index. That is SPX. I'm going to start with a one-day chart. This is Thinkorswim. Quickly, 5-month rally began October 30th last year, and then correction began April 1st this year. 5-month rally, 1,150 points. And then the rally attempt began, and it looks like it is succeeding after expiration on April expiration. So let's take a look at that, closer look. This is a 30-day, 1-hour chart. Again, SPX. There's the top of that 5-month rally. Correction began April 1st. And then the rally attempt, which is continuing, began the Monday after April expiration on the 19th. So that's the 22nd, April 22nd. Very wide range. Looks like the SPX may be breaking out of this very wide channel. All right, let's take a look at the levels on this chart. First of all, the dashed purple lines are showing the lower and upper weekly expected move. This is based on the options market, based on the closing price for SPX last Friday. These lines, these levels will remain in place for the entire week. Then the dashed blue lines are showing the lower and upper daily expected move, also based on the options market, based on the closing price for SPX from last Friday. Those levels are updated once a day. I do post these levels in Discord on the evening before the day in effect. All right, so SPX is trading up above the upper daily expected move today. All right, so the other lines on this chart are showing Spotgamma levels, the dark red lines. These are proprietary Spotgamma levels. They're available to Spotgamma subscribers on a variety of trading platforms. This is Thinkorswim. These are based on gamma-weighted open interest. I'm going to point out the key daily levels. So first of all, 5,000. That is the put wall and the absolute gamma strike. The put wall is a strike with the largest net negative gamma that can be expected to act as support. And the absolute gamma strike is the strike with largest absolute positive and negative gamma. So that's where most of the gamma-weighted open interest is concentrated, and certainly not in play for today. All right, the next level up is the volatility trigger at 51.15. That is Spotgamma's proprietary volatility flip low. Below that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is negative. In a negative gamma environment, market makers have to trade with price to hedge their delta exposure. That tends to enhance or increase volatility. Above that level, like SPX is trading now, market makers' position on the gamma curve is positive. In a positive gamma environment, market makers have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure. That tends to subdue or decrease volatility. All right, so again, SPX trading above the volatility trigger. Finally, the call wall is up at 5,200. That's a strike with the largest net positive gamma that can be expected to act as resistance. And if this grind up continues, that is the next Spotgamma level in play. All right, let's wrap up our view of SPX with a 1-minute chart, just to get a closer look at the levels in play for today. And here is the Upper daily expected move. Really acting as support today. A little bit of an excursion below that down to 51.53. All right, so very narrow range here in the SPX today. All right, let's go to Bookmap. In Bookmap, I have my own cloud notes, so I can show SPX levels. There's that 51.53 combo 4 level that I just mentioned. Note this 51.48 combo 2 level, acting as support just after the cash open. And there is a resistance level up above at 51.65. And that's also just above the 515 SPY 515 call wall. So I have SPY levels on this chart as well. Note there is a difference in price between ES and SPX. And earlier today it was 26. I looked about a couple of minutes ago, just before the webinar, and it was 27. So I changed it. Let's change it back. This won't take long. I'm changing it back to 26 now. All right, so as this shifts down, this 51.50 level, for example, will be at 51.76. So ES minus SPX, that's 26. That is what I posted in Discord today. So I post these index relationships that I'm using in Discord every day. All right, so very narrow range. 51.53 along with VWAP acting as support. And again, this 51.48 acting as support. Next level up is 51.65. That is noted as a resistance level. And that was noted as a resistance level in the Spotgamma AM Founders Note. All right, so those are levels in play for today, shown on Bookmap. Let's move on to NASDAQ. Pretty similar price action. Quick move up just after the cash open. Support at NQ 18,050, then chop. So let's take a look at the underlying index charts real quick so we can isolate those levels. Let's start with QQQ. Here's the QQQ 438 call wall. Oh, I forgot to mention for the shifts in levels for the S&P 500, SPX volatility trigger did shift higher, and for SPY there was a bullish hat trick. The volatility trigger, call wall, and absolute gamma strike all shifted higher. So a bullish hat trick for SPY. Sorry, forgot to mention that earlier. All right, so the call wall in play for QQQ, acting as resistance more or less earlier today. Now support. So QQQ, this rally started overnight, chop, and now QQQ trading firmly above VWAP, that's that blue line. Or let's take a look at NDX. Then we'll get back to NQ. All right, so this cluster of levels right here, very close to the 438 call wall. That is 18,000. That's the absolute gamma strike for NDX. That level did move higher from Friday. And then there's a combo 1 level just below that. All right, so it looks like NDX finally breaking out of the range today. Hello, Caesar. Welcome. Glad you're here. So here's that cluster of levels. And the label showing is that 998 combo 1 level. Just above that is the 18,000 level, as well as the 438 call wall. So again, I have my own cloud notes here in Bookmap, so I can show key NQ levels like the zeros and the 50s. There's the upper weekly expected move. Also show NDX levels like the 9988 and also QQQ levels, all into one column there. All right, so there's NDX, quick move up, a lot of chop right around this cluster of levels. Note the point of control is right on top of the NQ 18,100. That's a dark purple line. You can see it moved up right there. You can also just tell from the session volume profile. That's where most of the volume is concentrated for the session today. All right, we'll take a look at setups in a few minutes. Let's wrap up our positional analysis. And I'm going to spend more time on stocks today. There wasn't, in the time period I trade, there wasn't much to see with the S&P 500 and NASDAQ. All right, so let's just wrap up. Take a quick look at Gamma Notional at the beginning of the day. Gamma Notional for the S&P 500 and NASDAQ. And note all the numbers are positive except for SPY, which is still negative. All these numbers did shift higher from last week. All right, so in a positive gamma environment, for an index, Spotgamma assumes that traders are short calls, market makers are long calls, hence the positive gamma, and they have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure. All right, so not much put Vanna fuel for a move in either direction. All right, let's move on. Let's take a look at some setups now. All right, so everything that I've shown so far, the levels on the charts, that's based on static data. Forgot to mention shifts in levels for the NASDAQ. There was also a bullish hat trick for QQQ. Volatility trigger put wall and absolute gamma strike all shifted higher. And for NDX, the put wall and absolute gamma strike shifted higher. So for all four SPX, SPY, NDX, QQQ, levels shifted higher, bullish thesis based on those shifts higher for the S&P 500 and NASDAQ. All right, so let's move on to execution now. And given the positive gamma environment, looking for a more narrow trading range, not trending like, and also given the lack of data this week, looking for more of a narrow trading range, just a grind higher in the S&P 500 and NASDAQ. All right, so let's take a look at some setups now. Move on to real-time data. I'm going to start by taking a look at what options traders have been doing today. And this is the hero signal, hedging impact real-time options. What this chart is showing is options trades and market maker hedging activity for a combined signal of SPX, SPY, XSP, and ES futures. There are two lines on this chart. The first, the white line, is the price for SPX, and the second line, the purple line, is the hero signal. Again, HIRO, hedging impact real-time options. And a falling hero signal indicates traders are taking negative delta positions. They're buying puts and or selling calls. Market makers take the opposite side, and they have to sell futures to hedge their delta exposure. And then a rising hero signal indicates traders are taking positive delta positions. They are buying calls and or selling puts. Market makers take the opposite side again, and they have to buy futures to hedge their delta exposure. All right, Spotgamma recently introduced another signal for the S&P 500. So this is the traditional signal, the one that we've looked at for a long time, this S&P 500 signal. Now there's a new signal. This is similar to the Mag 7. And this is combining options trades and market maker hedging activity for all of the 500 stocks in the S&P 500. So it's basically the Mag 7 plus 493. So this is the signal that we're going to take a look at today. And certainly looking on hindsight at here, it did provide a better signal. And we'll talk about this in just a minute and the cause of that. All right, so let's zoom in on this. All right, so from the open, the hero signal was rising. Traders were taking positive delta positions, and the cumulative view of the 500 stocks in the S&P 500. All right, let's go to Bookmap. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. Go to the S&P 500. Quick move higher at the open. Support at the 51.48 level. That was before the cash open. Then after the cash open, 51.50 support. The volume dots in Bookmap are showing market buy minus sell. Magenta dots indicate more sellers than buyers as traders are taking positive delta positions. Aggressive buyers start to come in. And that is confirmed by the rising cumulative volume delta. That's that dark blue line there. Also buy stop orders helping to fuel the move higher. That's shown by the rising yellow line. Also the on-chart indicator. And then as price moves up, large traders come in with iceberg orders just as price is consolidating. All right, so quick move up, pretty much over with at 10 a.m. and then chop, and then price finally started moving higher again just before 12:30. So quick move up in the morning, chop, and then price moving higher starting around 12:30. All right, let's go back to Hero. And I'm going to move on to NASDAQ. I look at this Mag 7 signal. This is similar. This is another combined signal combining options trades and market maker hedging activity for the stocks known as the Magnificent Seven: Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, NVIDIA, and Tesla. All right, let's zoom back in. All right, so note the similarity to the chart. Move up from the open until 10. Chop. Then this move lower. So that's on the SB equities chart, on the Mag 7 chart. And let's see where that came from. And there's the suspect, NVIDIA. NVIDIA typically has probably the largest notional value of options trades of any single equity. So as NVIDIA goes, so goes the Mag 7, and so goes the NASDAQ. All right, so let's go back to Mag 7. Zoom in on this. Quick move up at the cash open. Oops, wrong tool. Sorry. Quick move at the cash open. Consolidation. So that was just about a 15-minute move higher. Consolidation. Then the NVIDIA head fake consolidation. Let's zoom out. All right, so this Mag 7 signal really started to move higher right around 1020 and still continues to move higher. All right, let's see what traders are doing. And we'll see in NVIDIA. When we separate up puts and calls, we can see that traders were selling calls. Go back to Mag 7. Same thing. So they were selling calls up until about 1020. That's shown by the falling orange line. Then right around 1020, they start buying calls. And they've been selling puts. That's shown by the rising blue line. All right, so let's go back to NASDAQ now. Similar to the S&P 500. Whoops. Aggressive buyers come in, cash open, rising cumulative volume delta, buy stop orders fuel the move higher, and hits firm resistance at this cluster of levels. Basically NDX 18,000, QQQ 438 call wall, and the 18,100 level on NQ, and now price breaking higher after a test of VWAP. All right, let's move on. Let's take a look at some stocks. Let's see if anyone has any questions about the S&P 500 or NASDAQ. So grind higher. All right, let's take a look at some stocks. I thought there was much more opportunity, much easier reads in stocks today. The first AMD, great long setup this morning. Let's see what options traders are doing. Let's go to AMD. Call buyers driving price higher. Let's zoom in on this. Rising orange line. Traders are buying calls. Flow alert a little bit late. If you were waiting for the alert, you still could have gotten in then. Here's the 155 call wall. So note that call buyers take their foot off the gas as NVIDIA hits that 155 call wall, maybe a little bit higher. All right, so call buyers, again, traders buy calls, market makers sell the calls. They have to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure, take their foot off the gas at 155. All right, let's go take a look at Bookmap. There's the 155 call wall. Price moves all the way up to 156. Liquidity targets in the heat map. Most of the liquidity concentrated at 155. That's the heat map and Bookmap showing a history of the limit orders. Above price, those are limit sell orders. Typically act as magnets for price. And they come in at 156 as well. All right, so now AMD consolidating right around the 155 call wall. And Caesar says AMD was so nice today. I believe that was either a J-line curl up or an under over. I'm not sure. But it was pretty easy to see on the charts as well. But the order flow in Bookmap as well as the hero signal confirmed that. So Caesar says, I had a hard time staying in the trade today for AMD, but that hero signal would have made it much easier. I agree. I'm looking at, typically I'm looking at 3 charts when I'm trading. I'm looking at hero on one chart, Bookmap on my main center screen, and then my trading platform on on my right screen. So very nice long setup here in AMD. All right, let's move on. Let's take a look at coin. Long setup in the morning. Let's see what options traders are doing. All right, so AMD. Again, quick move higher in the morning. Aggressive call buyers take the foot off the gas. AMD consolidates. Looks like some large block orders there. Large institutions selling calls. Then buyers come back in again. Overall, the call signal is consolidating. Call buyers and sellers definitely driving price in AMD today. Put line after this move up in the morning, pretty flat. So net for the day, traders are selling puts and buying calls. Well, let's move on to coin. All right, so notice coin. First of all, the put line pretty flat today, not of any significance. Early in the morning, traders aggressively buying calls. Flow alert, get your attention. Pretty timely flow alert there. Some consolidation. Then aggressive call buyers come in again. Price moves up. And then traders start selling calls. Price moves lower. Call buyers and sellers definitely driving price in Coinbase today. So let's go back to coin. In Bookmap. Zoom in on this a bit. All right, as traders were buying calls, there were several pullback entries. Here to VWAP and the start of that trend line. Again to VWAP, then trend break as traders stop buying calls. Price starts to move lower, making a series of lower highs. I have another line on this chart. Let me show you what that is. This is the correlation tracker in Bookmap, and I'm showing the correlation to Bitcoin futures. So you can use any version of Bitcoin here, either spot Bitcoin if you're connected to one or more of the crypto exchanges, or in this case, I'm just using Bitcoin futures. That was the easiest for me to use since I have the rhythmic connection. All right, so pretty strong correlation with Bitcoin futures here. And Coinbase starts to roll over just about the same time that Bitcoin starts to roll over. And some consolidation as Bitcoin starts to move up. All right, let's go back to Hero. Similar to AMD, aggressive call buyers in the morning. Consolidation, there's that pullback entries. And time to get out as traders. Right around 10:20, stop buying calls. Then around 10:40, they start selling calls. All right, let's take a look at Google now. I'm going to zoom in on this. All right, I did post this in Discord, one of many setups today that I was watching. So initially, traders are buying calls in Google. Note this flow alert comes in. These flow alerts can often act as mean reverting signals. So this is showing a significant shift in hedging flow from, in this case, positive to negative. So right after this flow alert, call buyers take their foot off the gas, and then just right around 9:55, 9:57, they start selling calls. Price moves lower. Again, blue line, put line, pretty flat. Call buyers and sellers driving price action. Let's go to Google. And Google's typically not a very big mover. Certainly not like Coinbase or NVIDIA that we'll take a look at in just a minute. Let's zoom in on this. But this reversal did happen earlier than some other stocks. All right, so traders started taking, so initially they were buying calls, took their foot off the gas pretty quickly. Trend break here. After this, actually so this is cumulative volume delta in the subchart. This is showing the, oops. That sharp move higher in cumulative volume delta, that's related to the opening print. After that, cumulative volume delta was grinding lower. You can see the magenta volume dots, trend break. More aggressive sellers come in. And as they continue to sell, there's a secondary entry as Google moved below below VWAP. So this was good for almost 2 points in Google there. Primary entry and then secondary entry, both trend break entries, shorts, as traders were stopped buying calls and started selling calls. All right, let me check for questions. All right, Edward, welcome. Glad you're here. Edward says, I'm a beginner. Can you give me a map to learn how I trade stocks, how I start? I will tell you, this is a more advanced view of trading. I suggest, I started day trading with Bookmap. I did not start trading with stocks. I suggest the same thing. So go to bookmap.com and you can start with a learning center there. And Stephen also recommended JTrader. That's a good recommendation. He's a stocks trader. He uses charts and Bookmap. So both good places to start. And I use, as I said in my introduction, I use options to influence my trade. I think by looking at options, I'm getting at the underlying cause of what is causing the underlying root. This is what is moving stocks, options, buyers and sellers. So there's a lot to look at. Bookmap, go to bookmap.com, go to the Learning Center. You might consider JTrader. He does a webinar for Bookmap every week, once a week at 10 a.m. on Wednesday. And then my webinars utilizing options trades, option trading and market maker hedging activity Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. All right, so I know that's a lot to take in. So I'm incorporating all of that information in my trading. All right, Katinga, hello, welcome. Katinga asks, are you able to add the pulse indicator? I will show that for NVIDIA. I have that on my chart, so let's take a look. I actually moved the little widget over to the side. I will take a look at NVIDIA in just a minute. The next stock I want to take a look at is Meta. Kind of a grind lower in Meta this morning, then a reversal higher. So a few short setups following this trend line in the morning. Let's zoom in on this. Looks like I need to add more lines to price lines on Meta here. All right, so grind higher, really very nicely following this trend line. Oops. Multiple short entries. Meta moves below VWAP, starts to break out. Notice at this time, the aggressive buyer started to come in, shown by the rising cumulative volume delta. So right around 10:30 or so, aggressive buyers start to come in. Let's see what options traders are doing. Let's go on to Meta. Zoom in. So the rising blue line shows that traders were selling puts. From the open, selling puts. Take the foot off the gas. Right around 10:30, they start selling puts again. Initially, they were selling calls. Take the foot off the gas. 10:45, they start buying calls. So a little bit of a complicated read here, but if we zoom out, we can see pretty clearly, starting around right around 10:30, let's say, the blue line and the orange line, maybe just a little bit later, 10:40, orange line, blue line moving in the same direction. That's a very powerful directional indicator, in this case bullish. So traders really starting, let's say 10:45, selling puts and buying calls. Again, orange line, blue line moving in the same direction. Very powerful directional indicator. And right around 11:50, 12, 11:45, 12, they take their foot off the gas and Meta consolidates. So a little bit more difficult read here, I thought, in Meta today, but it just took some patience. Again, good short in the morning, very nicely following this trend line down. As traders are selling calls, and the put sellers took their foot off the gas. Then as the put sellers came in again, price started to move higher. And we've already looked at the order flow. Pretty easy read here in order flow. Aggressive buyers start to come in with a trend line break. Break above VWAP, pull back to VWAP. Then steadily following a trend line higher up to the very obvious high liquidity target at 460. Again, this is the history of the limit orders in the order book. Above price, those are limit sell orders acting as a magnet for price. Zoom back out. Let's see what traders are doing now, options traders. I'm going to zoom in a bit. All right, so these lines really continue to slowly grind higher. All right, let's move on. Take a look at NVIDIA. Oops, Microsoft, that's the one I want to take a look at next. All right, Microsoft. Also had this move down in calls in the morning. that did set up a quick divergent short. Let's zoom in on this. All right, so first thing in the morning, traders are selling puts. Also selling calls. That call line shifts down. Put sellers take their foot off the gas. And price moves lower. And then call sellers take their foot off the gas. Start buying calls, price moves higher. That's right around 10:20. Let's go to Bookmap. Take a look at Microsoft. Another quick move lower in the morning. Trend break. Buyers start to come in. Options traders start taking positive delta positions. And Microsoft moves higher. Zoom back out. So call buyers come in right around 10:20. Blue line, the put line, starts to rise. And so far today, the blue line, after 10:20, blue line, orange line, moving in the same direction. Traders are buying calls and selling puts. Very powerful directional indicator in this case, moving higher. Note 410 is the call wall, and Microsoft has breached. It did find some resistance at the 410 call wall, now has breached above that level. That's this light blue line there. Let's go back to Bookmap. 410 call wall, price consolidates that level, now moving higher. All right, let's take a look at NVIDIA. Very bullish day in NVIDIA. All right, Katinga, there you go. Here's the pulse indicator. This is the market pulse indicator. Let me clean this up. I have the absorption and sweeps indicator turned on, and then this view, it's a little bit distracting. I'm going to turn those off in the zoomed out view. So the market pulse that I'm talking about, that's this indicator right here. There are a variety of algorithms. This is the price change, PC. And that's what I'm showing right here. So I've tried the price change and the volume pressure imbalance. And today I'm looking at price change. So they're both, I think, pretty good algorithms for this market pulse indicator. And Caesar asked, do you get any actual info from the absorption and sweeps indicator just as a confirmation of a turning point, really? I think it is pretty far down the list of things that I take a look at. So the things that I'm looking at, of course, are Hero and also order flow on Bookmap, as well as the chart patterns. All right, so let's see what options traders are doing today in NVIDIA. Go on to NVIDIA. And as I mentioned before, it was the put sellers really driving price action in NVIDIA today. That's a little bit unusual. Normally it's call buyers and call sellers. And you can just compare the notional values here. Currently, this notional value for puts positive 419 million versus calls minus 129 million. So put sellers rather than call sellers really driving price in NVIDIA today. And again, whenever you see an anomaly in this hero signal, the S&P equities in the Mag 7, first place you want to look is NVIDIA. And again, there it is. All right, so put sellers in NVIDIA really driving price today. Call wall breach, call at 900. That's also the key gamma strike. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. There it is. Call wall, key gamma strike. Let's zoom in. All right, so what I'm looking at here is, first of all, aggressive buyers coming in at the open, and you can just see all the green volume dots, magenta volume dots coming in at these pullbacks. Good entry points for longs. Multiple liquidity price targets at the zeros and the fives. This liquidity, in this case, limit sell orders, come in just a few moments after the cash open. So what I've been looking at for this market pulse indicator, trying to get some kind of confirmation of these pullback entries. Today the price change not doing so much. Let's take a look at, let's go to the volume pressure imbalance, see what that looks like. It'll take a moment for that to load. All right, let me go into settings here. I'm going to turn the price change off in the subchart. Let me mute that. All right, so same case here. I was looking for either one of these two to indicate, give me some confirmation for these pullbacks, but they were just not, apparently not deep enough to trigger any event on either of these indicators. So let's go back to showing price change. All right, so anyway, bullish day in NVIDIA here. Call wall breach. So in a call wall breach, we know that that's the absolute, that's the key gamma strike, as well as the call wall, where calls are concentrated for stock. Spotgamma assumes that traders are long calls, market makers are short calls. And as price moves above that call wall, their short calls, going deeper in the money, their delta is becoming more negative, and they have to continue to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure. Let's go back and take a look at Hero. All right, so both the lines have pretty much leveled off and price consolidating right around the 920 level. All right, does anyone have any stocks they want me to take a look at? Take a look at Tesla. Quick move up in Tesla, then sharp drop. Let's see what options traders are doing in Tesla. I'm going to shift over to the total signal. Let's go to Tesla. Traders taking positive delta positions from the open. Call wall breach. Flow alert. Positive delta options trades. Call wall breach. Options traders take the foot off the gas. Tesla moves lower. Right around 1220. Flow alert. Options traders stop taking negative delta positions, start taking positive delta positions, and now Tesla's moving higher. All right, ET1 wants to look at the E-mini 500. All right, so let's go back to, I'm going to take a look at the S&P equities. So this hero signal continues to rise. So this breakout around 1230 continues to work. Let's go to Bookmap. Go to ES. All right, so here's this 1230 breakout. So if you're patient enough to sit there and watch the S&P 500 for 3 hours after the cash open, you finally get a nice move higher right around 1230. Support at VWAP, this 51.53 level. Aggressive sellers on the way down, magenta volume dots. Aggressive buyers come in as the S&P equities hero signal starts to move higher again. Let's zoom in on this. So ES is already almost up to the upper weekly expected move. And that is ES 5200, just below that. And the next Spotgamma level above is the 5200 call wall. So still some room to run for the 5200 call wall. And note the SPY 515 call wall. You can't see the label here. This 5165 resistance label is over that. That's meant to correspond with the 515 call wall level. That did act as resistance and now support. All right, so there you go, ET1. And last call for stocks. Anyone have any stocks they want me to take a look at? Let me point out a couple things I've been doing this today. So first of all, I've been ranking my watch list here by hero signal. And this is showing, in this case, I'll show from strongest to weakest. Earlier today, Coin, remember that move up higher in the morning in Coin, was at the top of the list with a very strong hero signal. What this is indicating is it's comparing the hero signal for the last 30 days, that's shown by the entire length of the slider, with the last 5 days, that's shown by the colored portion. So earlier today, Coinbase, for example, was in the top of the range, was at the top of this list, and Google was at the bottom of the list. So that's why I was looking at that short in Google, one of the reasons. All right, so you can rank your watch list or the entire list of stocks with available with Hero. You're welcome, ET1. All right, so let's take a look at some alerts, another way to find something to trade. Take a look at Amazon. Flow alert comes in as the Hero signal is starting to tick up again. There's the flow alert right there. Let's zoom in on this. So a little bit late here, but indicating a breakout here in Amazon. So let's go take a look at Bookmap and Amazon. Oops. All right, so there's the breakout in Amazon. Let me tone down the volume dots just a little bit. All right, so Amazon broke out of this slightly downward sloping channel, breakout, aggressive buyers starting to come in. You can see by the rise in cumulative volume delta. Let's see exactly when that flow alert came in. Zoom in on this. Flow alert comes in at 219. Looks like price had already started to move higher. Let's go back to Bookmap. All right, so there's 219. So if you caught the break above 187, that would have been a pretty good entry. Flow alert confirmation. Aggressive buyers and break above the 187 liquidity. If you were watching this before, let me turn down the volume dots. All right, so it looks like some of those orders were consumed. It looks like this small band of limit sell orders just above 187. It looks like they pulled some of that right before the move higher. All right, my time is up. So there's a couple of ways I'm showing right at the end of finding something to trade, ranking your hero signal by weakest to strongest or strongest to weakest, and also watching for alerts. In this case, this flow alert for Amazon would have helped you trade this breakout. So about 50 cents so far in Amazon. All right, everyone, I want to thank you for watching. Thanks for your questions and comments. And I will see you on Wednesday. Thanks again. Bye.
This meeting is being recorded.